Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to the Gig Worker Roundtable that we do on Thursday nights. Kim is back.
Hi, everyone.
According to Gary, she's never here, but as we all know, Kim is always here. That's bullshit. Sorry, excuse my language, but it is, Gary. You know it. um, and so Kim's back. Welcome back, Kim. I know you had a couple fun weeks, right? Good and
Yeah,
cool to say that,
no.
right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was family time. So it was spring break.
Right.
My daughter was off from school. Felt like forever, but no, it was Easter and spent time with one side of the family and then the other side of the family. And then we went away last week. So here I'm back.
See, I feel like we're all prisoners and you got out on parole and now you're back to jail. And like we're all craving on your stories. Like, did you have fun on the outside? Was it fun?
What was it like?
You didn't turn on the app at all? Wow. And I hope that happens for everybody, by the way, down the road at whatever point it is. I know we're all, and W2 people too, everybody's just hustling all the time, working more hours than ever. It doesn't matter what line of work you are or what you're doing. Everybody seems to be really just working way more than they should and everything. And it was already like that before. So at some point, I hope we all get some free time on our hands. So we had a little switch up. Michelle was supposed to be here tonight. She will be back next week. She did say she'd be here tonight. However, she said that she would be heavily pain medicated, and because she had an injury. And I thought, come back next week because she was like, I can do it for a half hour because she had some stuff she wanted to share. I think that from her text, I have enough where I can bring up the topic and we can discuss it. Because it is, Michelle hasn't been on in a few weeks, and she would bring up the most talked about topic going on in the advanced DoorDash group was kind of becoming her thing. But we also got on the far, oh, that was awesome. I got it right. And Mr. Tom Kelly. And then right below me, got that one right too. We got Cheyenne, Gig Work Mama. And for filling in for Michelle again, we got Acacia. And you guys, everybody give it up for Acacia too, because she really has come through in a pinch like 3 different times for us now. So yeah, so welcome everybody. And we definitely got some topics tonight. I had a couple, but everybody's got a little something. I think we should start off with the Cheyenne one just because we were just talking about it. And I find it interesting because of the other story too. Thank you, Christopher Taylor, on a double there. We appreciate that. But yeah, Cheyenne, do you want to lead us off with this morons crossing the border story?
But in their defense, they're not morons, because honestly, it's very easy. And when I was looking into it for a second part of a story, a lot of truckers say that it happens very often. So anyways, I don't know if you guys heard, but there was an Uber Eats driver. This happened in January. It's just being reported now, though. There was an Uber Eats driver that was driving in the States. Now, for those that don't know, there are some parts of the border that are very, very, very easy to come into. There are some parts that you might not even realize that you're crossing over the border. And this was one of those situations. The poor guy did not realize. So in January of 2025, Mr. Vasquez was delivering food in Detroit, and he accidentally drove over the Ambassador Bridge, which is a one-way
I'm
pole.
from there, so I've done it many times. I'm all too familiar, and it takes a while.
Exactly.
I know everybody like puts
it
into perspective and thinks of going into Mexico to Tijuana or Nogales out of Arizona or something, and thinks, well, that's the long lines, not Canada. It depends where you go over in Canada. At Detroit, it is tough because the casinos are right on the other side, and pre-casinos and everything else. It takes hours.
Exactly.
So
unfortunately, he came into the States. He came into Canada, and he came in. It was fine for him to come in. But then when he went back around, because obviously he wasn't supposed to be here, unfortunately for him, he was not documented in the United States. So he got deported back. He was from El Salvador. So he got deported back to El Salvador, unfortunately. There was actually another driver.
Before you move into it, so this guy is here. Obviously, he's not here legally or even in the system. And I hate to say it that way, but he must not be, because that's the only reason he would have nothing to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if it was a temporary. So obviously he was undocumented. He's in Detroit and he's like, oh, I'll just go over that bridge and deliver some food, and ends up not being able to even come back to Detroit, but instead gets sent back to El Salvador.
Yeah. Unfortunately for this guy, like, granted, okay, he did do some of the process. He was waiting on his appointment and everything like that. So it's not like, he just snuck in and decided to stay here and then started working on Uber. But, with everything that's going on in the States right now, it was unfortunately a horrible time for him to be crossing a border when he doesn't really have full legal status in the States.
Did you say the date or just January?
No, it was January.
I was just wondering if it was before January. The 20th.
I'm sure it was after the 20th. Okay. I don't see that it would have been this kind of an issue.
Well, I mean I'll tell you, that border isn't letting you across without something. So, I mean, even pre-20th, that's even that. I mean, people can't think that kind of stuff. Like, it wasn't like in January 1st, you could go across and come back without any documents. That doesn't.
No, they wouldn't. I wouldn't assume that anyone can go across without any documents. But to the point that they deported him when he already had an appointment for immigration, that just seems kind of okay. Dude, I have my appointment. Let me, let me wait for it, kind of thing. So he was deported in March.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But then there was another driver last week. This was on TikTok that I saw. He's not an Uber Eats driver. He's not a DoorDash driver. It's nothing like that. He's a regular truck driver. And he took a wrong turn again, coming in, and he ended up being at the border, the Canadian border. We didn't let him in for hours. They went through his entire shipment. They went through his what's it called? Like his judicial record, and obviously found, in his words, he has a rap sheet as long as you can read. Oh. So obviously that's not coming into Canada. Like one felony and they don't let you in. So he got turned around. And when he started looking into it with his other trucker friends and, communities and whatever, they're saying that it is very, very frequent that people will come from the States into Canada by mistake. So that just brings up,
like, whoops, I went to Canada.
Well, it's if you're not reading the signs though.
But it's a bridge leaving Detroit. If you've ever looked at a map anywhere in the city of Detroit, there's no bridge that doesn't take you into Canada.
Yeah, this one was in Detroit. This one,
there's a tunnel and there's two bridges, and they all go to Canada.
Yeah.
So if you end up on any of those, you're doing something wrong. Unless you want to go to Canada, and then you're right.
There's that too. But he's also not from there. He said that he's from the South. So he was just doing a load, right? So he might not know. But one thing that all of this brought up is I was wondering how many people, you put an address into the GPS. How many times do you just follow the GPS, not even realizing where it's bringing you?
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very loyal to the little blue line.
Yeah, you have to be.
I don't know if anybody's ever seen that episode of The Office where Michael's following the GPS and Dwight's trying to tell him, no, it means veer right. He's like, no, it says right. And he takes a right and he drives right in the lake.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Well, wasn't there like a story? Did we do a story like a year or so ago where the delivery driver drove into a lake because that's where GPS took him?
Yeah. It was like some back roads that were like flooded out, but they were
Yeah.
completely flooded out. And this
Yeah.
guy was like,
Yeah.
well, it says to go this way. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did that
the app
story.
can't be wrong.
And that's what I was, that's really what I was thinking. Like, you know, how many times do you just follow the GPS and then you realize like, whoa, maybe I shouldn't be over here, you know? Or sometimes the GPS, I know Uber Eats used to do that a lot. Like instead of me doing a U-turn on the street, they don't like U-turns, right? So they make you go around the whole block. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm turning right here. You know,
Yeah.
so just pay attention to the GPS when you're driving out there, guys.
Do they have K-turns in Canada?
Do they have what?
K-turns in Canada?
What is a K? I don't
What are
even know what
You
K-turns?
don't
that
know
is.
what a K-turn is?
What is a K
What
turn?
is that?
Where you turn and then you back up and then you go. It's a
That's
K-turn.
called a 3-point.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
a
Well, maybe in
U-turn?
New Jersey it's called a K-turn.
You mean
Okay.
a U-turn?
really?
Are you talking about a U-turn?
No, I'm
I'm
talking,
talking about a
K-turn.
3-point.
A 3-point what?
A 3-point turn where you go, that's 3-point.
Why
1,
couldn't I
2,
just
3,
do it as a turn?
or a U-turn.
Or a U-turn?
Because it's not a U-turn if you can't make the complete U-turn.
Yeah, if you can't go, woo!
Yeah. It depends on your turn radius, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
turn
Bubba
radius, yeah.
Sue says it's New Jersey lingo, so never mind, it's a New Jersey thing.
Good to know.
I love it when
Yeah.
Kim brings out, that's rare, but there's been a few times on this through the years where Kim's brought out some word where none of us except her knows it, and then the New Jersey people chime in and they're like, no.
Yeah, and
we
just
know
like
that.
everybody doesn't know what a jug handle is. Everybody's like, a what?
Right. I
What is
mean,
that?
we're still all amazed that you guys have to go to school to be a pump
We don't
gas.
pump around gas. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's
I
What?
mean,
crazy.
Oh my God,
What
yeah.
are jug handles?
I remember
Jug
that.
handle in New Jersey, there are some intersections you can't make left turns. So that it's like a little jug. I don't know how to say it. It's like a little handle that you have to go around to make a left-hand turn in New Jersey.
Michigan lefts. Yeah, Michigan lefts. You know about those, Steve.
Michigan left. Dude,
Yeah,
we do
we-
everything in Michigan, so I don't know the term,
No.
but if you explained it, I'm sure I've done it a million
Where
times.
you have to make the right-hand turn and then do the U-turn. They got
Okay.
this all over Detroit.
Well, we just do what we want. I mean,
But
dude,
we-
honestly, in Detroit, and especially when I was there, when you pull up to a stoplight after dark, I mean, if you're under 10 mile and you're anything close to the river, if you pull up to a stoplight and you see a cop, you can just kind of wave at him and go right through the light.
I
What?
can't. Yeah, I can't
After like
highlight
dark,
it.
of course you can, because you'd get carjacked if you stopped.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can't
God.
highlight it anymore.
Ah.
But Traveler said turn right to go left. Yes, you have to turn right in order to go left.
So you're
Or just
turning
kinda
right and you're
do-
pulling a
couldn't you
U-turn.
just kind of do like a wide.
No, it's like an actual road that you have to go around to turn left in New Jersey. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah.
Very strange.
Excuse you, Lori. No.
I'm totally looking this up.
But okay, what did we even talk about the other guy real quick?
She just did.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so we got them
Yeah.
both. This is just weird to me. Like first
Oh,
of
that's
all,
what it
like,
looks like.
Did you
What is
Google
it? Really?
it?
Yeah, I totally Googled it. So it's actually a road,
Yeah.
and then you can
Make a left.
it merges to the regular road, and you can turn left now.
Yeah.
Mm.
oh, there are so many weird things. I mean, when you travel the states, I bet you in Canada, you guys have a lot of like commonality in between the provinces. But here, like you could go to one state and they have the street light on the other side of the street, or it could be right on the side of the street you're on, or it could be hanging in the middle.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's hard to adapt when you get into new cities because you're like, wait, you're looking ahead and you're looking at your GPS and it says a light on Google Maps and you're like, okay, and you know lights to be up front, you see it, it's dark, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah, for us it depends. Some even within the same province, you can have that.
Yeah. So I guess before we get to the Michelle Kim thing, because I'll kind of I'll bring in Michelle. Hi, Michelle, to you. I'm glad you're here.
Hi, Michelle.
Keep your head back and just lay down. But before we get to that, I guess, if any of you remember, I think it was last week, right? Or was it 2 weeks ago when we had Daniel on? But Acacia was telling a story about Uber Eats and DoorDash and the restaurant. And so do you want to give us like a minute catch up on that? Kind of Kim wasn't here, so like something to kind of put that on it and then add what you
Yeah,
had to add
context.
to that? Yeah.
Yeah. So the short version was I was on a double pickup because I usually multi-app, and I was doing a late night pickup. It was the end of the night, like 8:30, 9 o'clock, to Papa Gino's. And I get there, and they were very distraught when I arrived. They asked who I was there to pick up for. When I told them, they hung their head in sorrow, and I asked what was wrong. And apparently they had already thrown that order out because it had been sitting for a while. Previously, it was, I guess, a low tip order that had been knocked up on Uber Eats. When I finally got there, it was like 7 pizzas too. So they threw it out, and they offered to remake it. I told them I had this other pickup in queue. I said I would go do that pickup nearby and come back. And if it was ready, I would take it. When I got there, it still had another 10 minutes. I did not want to get a contract violation by keeping this other DoorDash order I had in queue waiting. So I told them, I apologize, thank you for trying, but I have to go. I can't keep this other order waiting. And they were very upset at me. They were not pleased by that. And I asked before I left a little bit of clarification, like why they had thrown the order out to begin with or why it wasn't remade. They told me that there was a policy for Uber Eats orders. If there is an order that had already been sitting, they will not make other orders or they will not remake the order because they seem to think that all Uber orders are synonymous, even though they're separate and independent of each other. When I tried to explain this to the manager, and she was very frustrated at this point and trying to close the store, she didn't really want to talk to me or answer my questions, and she just was very short with me. Eventually, like me trying to like tell her like these orders are independent of each other and this is not a great policy. It harms the driver, it harms the customer, makes us all wait longer. She just yelled, "I don't argue with you," and she gestured for me to leave, and she snapped at me, and I was like, okay, fine. I gave up, I left. Next morning, I called to speak to a different manager who was the actual general manager at the time. And to see if he could answer my questions and if we could get clarity on this policy. He informed me this policy was problematic and they were doing away with it. So they were already they'd already gotten rid of that policy, but this other supervisor I spoke to the night before did not know. So, we had a very positive conversation. Everything was fine. Everything was resolved. And I even asked him what to do going forward. He said it was good to go. So a week later, so the following weekend, I go pick up as I ordinarily would. And this is the new update on the story, and it gets freaking crazy. And I just want to clarify, if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't believe it. I went to do a pickup. It was Grubhub this time. I walk right over to where the hot box is, give them the name as I always do. And the supervisor that was there the previous weekend that had a tiff with me comes over, goes to hand me the pizza, and she looks at me and she says, "So this is the last order you can pick up from here." And I was like, "Fucking excuse me?" I was like, "What? Why?" She says, "You were very rude to me the other night." And she said, "And Derek, the general manager, should have told you on the phone that you were not allowed to come back." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I thought I was the one that had the conversation with him." And no, he did not say that. So she starts off, fist raised, trying to start a fight, lying to my face. And then I said no. And I explained to her, Derek did not kick me out. We had a fine conversation. My questions were answered. Everything was resolved. He said I was good to go. And she said, "Well, I'm asking you not to come back." So this kicks off this whole thing. Now, she's a manager, and she does this in front of several other employees, in front of customers. She doesn't pull me aside and explain to me her reasoning for wanting to ban me from the store. She just does this, right, in front of everybody, unprovoked, no reason at all. What it really is that she's upset that I went over her head and asked somebody else questions that she wasn't willing to answer, which shouldn't really be a problem, but I guess to her it was. So we end up like having this back and forth. Like I asked her at first, I'm like, "Can we have just like a calm conversation? I think this is a misunderstanding. We didn't get to have a conversation the other night." She's like, "No, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to have a conversation." So she just starts yelling at me, gesturing for me to get out, like yelling louder and louder and louder. And now at this point, we're both raising our voice because I'm trying to be heard. I'm trying to tell her like, "You're telling lies. This is unreasonable. This is unfair. This is a misunderstanding." We get nowhere. She just keeps yelling
Let
at
me
me.
weigh in. This is how shootings happen.
Like, it was so bad.
I feel it should be like on the news.
Oh, it was great. Like, and like at this point, like now, like for people who didn't see how it started and who don't know the context, they don't know who's the asshole, right? It's just a couple of people yelling at each other at this point. But she threatens to trespass me, which is like she'd file a trespass order and I wouldn't be able to legally enter the business. And I was like, all right, fine. So I'm on my way out, or I'm about to leave. I'm like, "Can I get Derek's number? Can I get the corporate number?" She won't give me anything. She won't give me anybody to call, anybody to talk to. She just keeps trying to kick me out. Other employees or like another supervisor who I'm actually friendly with tries to ask me what's going on. She's talking over him. She's like, "No, don't talk to him. You can't talk to her." And she's like trying to shoo everybody else away. So I can't get anywhere with anybody. It's just her like just kind of steamrolling the situation. So this like this blows way out of proportion, which is crazy because in my 7 years of delivery driving and my like well over a decade in the service industry and like my year picking up from this particular location, never in my life have I experienced something like this. I've never been treated this way. I've never had an issue with the business. I have never had issues with customer service, with customer relations, or issues with employees at restaurants. Like the occasional little disagreement, sure, but nothing to this scale. So I leave. And I just like, I realized like, this is total horseshit. Like this chick's like screwing up with my money. She's mistreating me. I call the cops. And they were very, very patient and very good with me. I explained to them what happened. I tell them, so, you know, there was this verbal altercation. This is what happened. They come over. I give them my story. I actually asked them to go in and see if they can convince her to have a civil conversation with me like I always wanted to do, because she can't yell at the cops, right? She'll treat me that way. I'm sure she wouldn't do that to the cops. They walk in, they talk to her. Of course, she still refuses to talk to me, to have an actual adult conversation. So she decides to issue the trespass order because she's PO'd that I call the cops, I guess. So they come out, they hand me the trespass order. So now I can't enter this place of business because this girl had a freaking hissy fit like a child. But they were able to get me the district manager's number. Good. Okay. This gets me somewhere. Maybe I can speak to a civil human being who is above this chick and I can actually get somewhere. So I end up spending about an hour on the phone with the district manager. He seemed great. He listened. He was patient, really willing to help, really willing to investigate. He was very disturbed about what I told him about his supervisor's behavior, as we all should be. I'm getting to the end of the story. Don't worry. But it seemed like it was going to go good. So he was going to spend some time investigating, getting statements from everybody. I was like, okay, great. There's no way in any civil, sane universe where this guy could find me at fault. Like there were witnesses to this girl's behavior. Like it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And I later did bring up like security cameras. Apparently they don't record audio. Everything would have been great if there was cameras recording our audio, but there wasn't. So he calls me back about a week later. And this was, you know, Easter weekend that he started investigating. So there was some delay. He calls me back about a week later to give me the result of his investigation. Turns out that obviously because she's been talking to these people for a week, she's been influencing their perception. Not everybody witnessed everything that happened. So there was not enough word in my favor. In fact, people lied to the district manager and told him that things happened that did not happen and that I did things that I did not do. For example, he suggested that somebody said that I provoked her that day that she kicked me out, when I told him all that I did was give the name of an order I was picking up for, which is the truth, but he didn't believe me. So I guess that all of this chick's friends and employees and everything didn't want to step on the toes of their boss. So they backed
and
her
this
up.
is and this pizza place. Wait, was this was the it started with the Piers, right?
Yeah, it was a Papagino's in a.
We don't have those here. Is that big? Is that a chain?
Okay. Yes, that's a big chain store, and I know it's in around a lot of New England. I don't know about anywhere else, but in New England, you can't
go to corporate and go, I've had enough.
I did try. I emailed them. I don't actually know how to contact corporate. That's a big problem.
I mean, out of principle alone, I would follow through on that. No matter if I went back there or not, I would follow through on that. There's no way I would let that end at that. I'm trying, but I don't know what number to call. I sent an email. I'm not getting responses. So I don't even know who to contact. I don't even know if there's somebody at corporate I can talk to. Maybe go on Twitter and see if they have a Twitter page. Twitter. Yeah.
I'll try.
Twitter, like you can't get anything about YouTube unless you go to Twitter to get it.
Right. And I will try. I did like the district manager, he tried to keep the peace. And I know he's just trying not to cause problems in his restaurant because it's otherwise running well, you know, outside of this issue. And again, I'd never had any other issues with the supervisor. And I told him, like, you're just rewarding her bad behavior. Like, I am 100% telling the truth. I understand that you got statements that do not support what I say. And that's the thing, is it's their word against mine. He has no reason to believe me. And without the audio on those cameras, I have no evidence. And I wish I had been an asshole like everybody else on the internet and just pulled out my phone and recorded when she started acting like that. But I don't do that because I don't stick my phone in people's faces all the time. You know,
but you're not somebody out there looking to do that, like the person who shoved the DoorDasher and got shot.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those times where you do it because that's what we live in now.
I know. And I should have. I wish I did. Because I feel like this chick was talking to me like we were in a Facebook group, right? Like this isn't how you talk to people in real life. But I think she seems to think that like Facebook groups are reality and vice versa. And she could just treat people this way. Because that's what it felt like. Because she was completely irrational. She was completely on another planet. Like, just thought she could treat me however she felt like. And this district manager, because of his final ruling, basically rewarded her behavior. And now she's only been at the restaurant a couple of months. And it's going to happen again. I'm not going to be the only person. She's going to do this to somebody else, for sure.
Well, I guess
how often do you pick up orders from there? Like, how is this going to affect you financially?
that's what I was just going to ask, because from the feeling I got, maybe you did too, Cheyenne, it was that you're living in a small market, and this seems to be a place you go a lot. So
yeah, multiple days every day that I deliver. I mean, multiple times every time I deliver. It's probably about like 30 to 45% of my total pickups are from this place. It's a very popular place for the area.
I would absolutely follow through and just keep it, write your story down and stick to it every time you tell it, and just read it, along the way up the line.
Yeah, I did. I left a very lengthy review on Google for this location. So it is actually all in writing on there, which I can refer to anytime. And I sent the email. But yeah, I want to, and I'm gonna try. I just don't know if I can actually call anybody. And I don't know if the fact that I don't have physical evidence, it's just hearsay. I don't even know if they'll listen to me. I don't know what reason they have. So, which is the shitty thing.
because they need to hear that. If I'm a franchise owner and I have 4 of them and one of my stores is acting that way, I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Because I might already be aware of some management issues that are on my radar, and I might want to go in there and crack some skulls after that one and go, you know what? This is already what I've been hearing, and now what again?
Well, no,
you never know the story.
The district manager that's who the district manager is. He owns a few stores, and he said that ever since this new crew of managers has come in, they've actually improved. The store has gotten better, because it's like a honeymoon phase, right? Like in a new job,
maybe he's sleeping with her. I don't know.
Oh God. Wow. Oh God.
and he knows she sucks, but he's like, I gotta go to bat for her.
Honestly, I'm not gonna be dishonest and like turn it into that, because I think she is a good manager. I think she just does her job well. And there are other positive reviews about her customer service and stuff like that. And the district manager did say the place runs better since her and the new team and everything have come in. So I'm not gonna say this is necessarily a stab at her ability to do her job, but just something about this.
Maybe you could just call her on a shift when she's there. Just call her and say, listen, I really don't want to escalate this, but I count on that revenue. I do a great job for you guys. Sorry for whatever mix up we had. And
I tried. She doesn't want to talk to me. I tried.
I don't think that's going to work. I think it's because you got her in a bad moment. First of all, like, think of it from their side and the emotional toll that the stress that she had to go through with that order, and then remaking it, and then you saying that you can't do it, and then she's like, well, why did we remake it? Like, our whole policy is not to do it, and I did it. Sure. So I honestly don't think you're going to be able to get through to her. Like, no. It needs to go elsewhere.
That night, I understood her frustration. I understood she was in a bad mood. It was a bad time. I let it go. I wasn't going to make it her problem anymore, and I got it resolved another way. Just she continued it on into another thing that it didn't have to be. You know?
Yeah.
So,
and this ties into what we spoke about last week with the body cams, and that's, I think Christopher Taylor said it up there. Maybe we need to start wearing body cams.
Right?
I mean, Kim has one, and she can tell you that I already know from talking with Kim, the restaurants don't like it. They do not like it.
No, they actually
hate it. In fact, so it's I don't know. I hate to be a jerk about it, but I mean, like, unless you've got like a very 007 hidden one doing something for you. But I mean, literally the ones that are supposed to show people that you have one so that they don't do anything to you because you have a body cam, the restaurants get hella pissed. And as soon as Kim told me, I was like, I don't doubt it. I didn't even think of it till she said it.
Yeah, I've gotten several restaurants, and this is even when I was videoing like ride-alongs. Like, they just don't want anything on camera, on film, or anything in their establishments. They get very upset.
I mean, they'll turn a cheek to phones. I've had them in there, and I can tell the place doesn't. Maybe they even notice, but they don't like it. But they won't say anything about a phone because it's a phone. But I mean, if you have a big, like some kind of police-looking camera right on a it's a vest that also like lights up. And so, I mean, it's you're obviously doing something when you're wearing that camera, but it doesn't mean they're not great for a lot of things. I just don't know about for that. So, but yeah, but Tom's going to close us out tonight. So Kim, I know you got a top. Kim has had a lot of topics. And by the way, Kim's been getting fiery. Like, I love it. I always watch, I watch all Kim's videos that I can. We all are so busy, but I do, and I drop it. And like lately, even just her titles are just pulling me in. She's like, I am going to kick DoorDash to HELL. Boom. Like, I'm like, I got to watch that one. Like,
that's the whole point.
I know, but you're not clickbaiting. You have real content in there that you're.
No, everything I talk about is real. It's usually because I've gone through it. I've lived it, including the one today. But no, it's all real. It's all fact-based. It's just, I hate to say exposing some stuff that happens, but that's exactly what it ends up being.
Yeah.
So because I know you have a few different videos out, and I know the one you want to talk about a little bit before you even go there. So Michelle's topic was that the number one topic in the group is everybody, even the people who used to tell the people who did this, they were stupid because you should never do this. Now, literally everybody in the group is telling everybody you need to be platinum. You must be platinum. And then there's Michelle in the group who should be jumping on board with them, but obviously painkillers can help you make a couple comments. I'm just kidding. But she's making some truths, and she's like, listen, I have a 9% acceptance rate. And since they took care of some of the illegal account issues in St. Louis, I can dash now anytime. That's how it is for me too here in Denver. I can turn on my DoorDash. I can schedule any shift at you can be 5%. blank percent, whatever.
But
I can schedule. It's not, but it's not just mine like I thought either. I mean, to hear it's in St. Louis, I've heard it from other people too, that basically just Dash Now it shows all of Denver as light pink all the time, where it never was pink at all, ever, maybe on weekends.
Mine's complete opposite. Like, you literally, like, complete opposite. You need in my market to be platinum if you're going to make any kind of money on DoorDash. So, and I actually just talked about this the other day. Like, it is completely market dependent. Some people have like an experience that they don't need a schedule. They don't need to be platinum. They don't need to be any tier, and they can still go out and, get orders. Like, you have markets like mine that are still oversaturated and you can't schedule. You have to have a schedule. The order volume is next to nothing if you aren't in a tier. Like, it becomes problematic. So it just depends on where you're at in the United States and how it works.
Like an interesting study for me would be if Kim and her husband and her daughter rented a house for 3 months in Denver. I would love to see how she plays this market, because this market's much different. And now we have transparency law. So she might go, you know what? I don't need it.
Yeah, out of curiosity, or what about, like, are you not able? I mean, I guess you wouldn't know because you probably had the status for a while, but you can't like a schedule like a week ahead.
I did an experiment probably about 2 months ago, that I did take a week and I went completely down under platinum because I wanted to see if it's something that I actually needed. And there were days that I logged in and schedules were already gone and you couldn't schedule. And even if like you were lucky to possibly get Dash Now, you can get it for like a half hour and then it went gray and then you couldn't get back on. So it's problematic for a lot of, at least my market, that in markets that I work, I don't just work one market, but it could be an issue for different parts of the country if they're like my area. Some days you could, some days you couldn't. It just depended on how many.
Like, I don't know if you remember Jason, not Thierry, Drive to Win 13, my friend in Idaho. We've had him on the roundtable a couple times. He was the one that during the pandemic took his RV and put his Prius in tow and drove city to city and signed everybody up and lived in Walmart parking lots and trained them at the RV. They could come to him and he'd train them on what to do to get the bonuses. And then he'd leave the city after he made like $8,000. It was awesome. And then he'd drive the RV to the next city with his Prius in tow, and he'd do it again and again. And he did the whole United States twice during the pandemic. Well, in Boise, Idaho, they still have Top Dasher at 50%, and that's the only thing they have.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's Top Dasher at 50%, and that's it. You get to 50%, you have Top Dasher, you can dash it anytime you want. That's how different markets can be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Kim, how long ago did 50% Top Dasher go away for you?
Oh God, like 2-3 years ago.
I was gonna say 3, but okay.
Yeah,
I mean, like that's just amazing to me. So I guess it must be. I always, I know they like us being on different pages too, but it must be somewhat of, it works in Boise. Leave it.
Well, what's going on in Boise, Idaho that they probably just need to be Top Dasher because what is really
Boise.
going on in Boise? But it's not like they're a condensed like area like New Jersey that you can go like the next town over and still have the same results.
It's still the biggest town in the state.
Yeah, I mean, over here in New Hampshire, I mean, in my small market, I'm sure there's not a lot of drivers. There's also not a lot of restaurants, but I pretty much can dash now anytime. And I always schedule like 6 days ahead anyway, just to make sure, just in case, they have one of those days. But I've never had an issue. I've always hovered around 20% or less acceptance rate. But Manchester is the busiest area here. There is an oversaturation of dashers and, just delivery drivers in general, and a huge, percentage of, and a big market of restaurants and everything. And same thing, like I would, like if I forgot to schedule, I would just wait until the busy time and I would just keep refreshing the schedule page to see if people either dropped or didn't show up for their dashes, or they would add more shifts as it got busier, and I would just grab them as they added them. So I never had a reason to like raise my acceptance rate.
Yeah,
I've always been able to work around it.
Mine isn't also just about Dash Now. Like it's order volume. Like if you aren't in like the platinum tier, like order volume drops considerably. Like I can start working at like say like 8 o'clock in the morning, and if I was under platinum, like I would wait 20-30 minutes in between each order to get an order. Like in platinum, I get order, I'm done, I get an order, I get done. Like it's a constant flow of orders, and you can't get that in my market if you're not platinum.
What would you say, what percentage of those orders is $2 a mile or more?
A good percentage.
Like it like half, like 60%, like 40%?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea.
Well, the reason I ask is because like it's my theory, and like a lot of people's theory who are not on board with this have always been that the reason that you get so many orders is because they will send the crappy orders to the platinum people first because they know they'll take them just to get them delivered faster.
No, I hardly ever get $2 orders.
I don't mean like $4, like maybe $5, 4 and change. From what I've seen about people doing videos about it, is the majority of the orders are like that they're spending more gas than they are making money.
No.
But I'm sure it depends on the area, of course. But that's what I've seen from other people practicing the platinum or doing experiments.
Yeah, Thomas says 60%. I would probably agree with that.
Yeah. And would you say that you keep your mileage low? Like, do you get your gas money back real quick? Like all that?
Yeah, I mean, my minimum is usually $1 per mile, but I've always been like that since I even started. Normally it's $1.75. I try to keep it around, but that's why you use your declines. You still get 2, 3, 4 declines depending on how many orders you do per week. So it's not like you can't decline to crap orders. I feel like that's like the biggest misconception about platinum
you're just more aware of that number all the time though.
Yeah, I mean once you get used to it, you just kind of get used to it.
Tyler's saying the same thing. I mean, this is still most of the Eastern Seaboard people I know say the same thing, that you have to have it because
right.
And again, I live in a very overpopulated place, but like they say that you must have it to get on.
But I don't just rely on DoorDash, right? So like I rely on my other apps. So it kind of balances.
But that Dash Now feature is huge.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so here's Tony, which by the way, Tony, call me. Tony's been working his ass off, you guys. Major applause. He's doing some other stuff too, and gig work, raising 1,700 kids, and Lisa, and geez, you guys, the Driven family. But Tony's saying that so he knows that he can see the full transparency, and probably what I'm telling you too, that it's always late pink here in Denver. We're in the same market. And that he could dash now anytime, but what he is saying is without he's not a high AR advocate, but without platinum, you don't get to see the big paying orders. But Tony and I have had this conversation a couple times in person, and sometimes he's like, no, you will see some, and then he's like, man, there's none, and then he's like, you'll see some. And I can tell it's
no, it's not true. It's not at all true, because I've never had a high acceptance rate, and I've always gotten a good mix of orders. I've obviously declined the crowd,
but you wouldn't know if you saw the top.
Yeah, no, I can't compare it, but I see good orders. He said you don't see good orders if you don't.
No, I don't think he's saying that.
Well, no, that's what he said. He said you don't get good orders with good tips. That's literally what he said. If you're not platinum.
Oh, I think he's saying big orders.
What's the scale of big versus good?
I think he's talking like maybe like their fake catering thing that they still pretend they have.
Oh, the catering? Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm just talking about like regular big.
Well, because they don't really have it, but
I'm talking like $9 for like 2 miles. Like I get those all the time, for example. Like quick orders with good money.
Yeah, I think he's talking about bigger. I'm guessing, but I think he's talking about bigger number.
Yeah, he's talking about LOCs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
So
and also bigger shop, in my opinion, bigger shopping too. I feel like if you have your shopping on, it's really good for a lot of the huge shops.
High Speed Drifter was asking if anyone does Uber Eats. Uber Eats is like a favorite over here.
Yeah. So Kim, what is your because you've been dropping bombs, and what I asked Kim last night was I texted her and said, pick the worst one right now. Like just go off on something. Pick one that you can go off on, or kind of sink your teeth into a little bit.
I don't know whether this is the worst one. I think it's something that everybody should be aware of that's happening. So, and it actually, back up. So a couple of days ago, maybe about a week ago, I got an email from DoorDash saying, hey, you're up for a new background check. And I'm like, oh, it's that time of year already, whatever. Like I never even worry about this stuff. I usually just ignore it. And then when I was doing research and going through a couple of things, I started seeing patterns, and I started seeing drivers really going into it, that a whole bunch of drivers went through background checks the same exact time that I did. So I'm like, well, maybe it's not an annual thing. I honestly can't remember the last time I went through it, but a lot of dashers this past week, sorry, my camera just went out, were getting deactivated for no reason because of the background checks. One driver is reporting that they deactivate him because he had an expired insurance card, even though his insurance cards were valid, and he had to send proof. Other people were just saying that their background checks just didn't come back, and they're like, I don't understand. I've been fine before. I mean, that could be legit. I mean, sometimes people do things that are in between that do it, but a lot of people are reporting basically massive deactivations this past week from DoorDash because of background checks. So I just wanted everybody to know, because you just never know. But even if you didn't do anything right, if you really think about it, and we go through this a lot. I call it the swivel door of DoorDash, right? So you have experienced drivers. DoorDash finds ways of deactivating experienced drivers. They lock, so to speak, your account. Then you have to go through the appeal process. They get new drivers to come in to take a lot of the orders that people aren't going to want to take. And then the new drivers lose interest, and then they go away, and then they bring back some of the drivers that got deactivated because they felt that they didn't do anything wrong. And then it's a vicious DoorDash cycle. So I think we're going through some deactivations again And I feel like we talk about this like almost every quarter.
And it's always so weird. We had I always use Marco. I've got a bunch of stories of people who email me and stuff about their DA. I still find his one of the most interesting because he has more dashes than anybody we know, period. I don't know anybody that has more. And he was deactivated on a day he was with his family and didn't even turn the app on.
Oh,
Yeah.
How's that happen?
That's the
And
thing.
he asked for how that happened, and they gave him the runaround. He played the runaround game for a month. Then he just said, screw it. His channel started going to other things. He changed from Nova Dasher to Nova Hustles, and he started putting out other content, and all of a sudden he got an email 2 months after that. So 3 months after the fact saying, oh, you're good. Come back.
Yeah, it's
like
just
that to me is like a Bermuda Triangle. That makes no sense at all. Like, what did you give him a 3-month timeout for?
yeah. What?
I just feel like they're using things like background checks. And this is my thing. So you background check me, but you have bigger fish to fry than me, your average dasher out there. Like, there are so many things wrong with the people that are on your platform, and you're background checking me and deactivating people that don't need to be deactivated. Does that, to me, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're attacking the wrong people.
Yeah.
Granted, mine's fine. I'm good. Knock on wood. Everything's all good. But it's...
were there... Again, we all know it's market to market. So, but in your market, has it been major app changes lately? I wonder if there's anything tied to that. Whenever there's major app changes, let's get rid of some of the veterans for a while because they're going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. Besides minor updates, it really hasn't, nothing major. I report almost every single thing that happens on the app. So no, nothing major that we know of. Could it be a precursor for things that are coming down the road? I have no idea, because that's a good possibility.
I have no idea what you're saying here, Tony, but wow.
Well, already then.
Does anybody know? Early on in my first year, I got deactivated for something dumb. It was like a misunderstanding. Couldn't get anywhere with it, and I just signed up with a new email and used a friend's phone number and just made a new account. Can you still do that? Yeah.
I hope not. I'm hoping they're starting to lock down on all this and get rid of this crap. In every way they need to. And like Kim said, stop deactivating people because they moved or some dumb. I've been saying this forever, and then we're going to slide on over to Tom here. But I've been saying this forever. And actually, this is a good transition to Tom, because the TNC, I was on Rideshare Garage last night. By the way, if you guys want to see something wild, go watch that episode. I did not plan on being on there, and we got really into it. Vinny Coos, guys, you can find Rideshare Garage. But the TNC in London and in most European countries, like Tom knows this, we've talked about this before. The black cabs over there go through, what is it, Tom? 3-5-year trainings?
Yeah, at least.
Okay. So they have to know, you have to know any detail. Where's this fountain? And you have to be able to give every history of the city.
Yep.
Where they train these black cab drivers, they also train cab drivers, but so think of it like a school. The black cabs have to go to school for like a master's program of X amount of years. The taxis have a 2-year thing. But they all work with these same lanyard systems. Now, rideshare drivers have to go there for a 6-week crash course program. Really? And they give you a lanyard with your picture, and it has an RF reader in it. I have to wear that at all times when I'm doing rideshare. And when a person comes up to the car, the app can tell that that's the RF reader and that's your driver.
That's cool.
Why the heck aren't we doing that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that leads me to this other thing. So these people who go through this 6-week program, I don't know, you can take things to different levels, but I believe on the rideshare side, it's free if you want to do this. However, you have to pay for your badge yearly, and it's like 150 pounds or whatever they say over there. So let's even call it 200. Let's say it's $200 for this a year. What it does is give you a complete background check. You onboard any app you want, and it's a real background check. It's not $23 checker that screws up every single thing they do. And that's what we've just been talking about in proof of. But it's not checker. We have real background checks here too. You know, it's like we still haven't gone to fingerprinting for rideshare drivers. Why? Half of them would be gone. So, I mean, why are we not using things? They keep coming up with these fake things like, oh, say my name, check if the child locks on the door. Those aren't going to help you. Please. You know, like make people go through these and certify it's them. They can't give the lanyard to their housemate and let them work on their shift. Like that's like thousands of dollar fines, and you can lose your license, and they treat this stuff very seriously. Why don't we? The violence has gone up 1,000% a day. Yeah. Why don't we do that? Like they have all these bunk ways of doing things, but we can't even do that. And that would, I mean, I'll be honest, I'd rather pay $200 a year for one background check because I'm paying for it, they can come back to me first and say, hey, we found this one little incident. Can you explain that? And if I explain it, they say, no problem. We got that fixed then. Instead of just, he failed, like checker would do. And then they give you the pass because they allow you to fix it first. If you could do that, would everybody pay $200? Because it's your business.
Right.
I mean, Kim, would you pay $200 a year for all the gig apps?
Yeah. And
that's your background check, and you don't have to pay any more, and you know you've passed it. So they can't use that on you at all, ever.
Like forever? Like, or yearly?
You pay it yearly. But my point is they can't go, well, your background check came back bad. No, it didn't. I did it. And
I think honestly, 200 for a gig worker is a little steep.
Well, it's 150 pounds. So it'd be 150 even if you called it that. I mean, really? Because it's, again, guys, it's your business. I understand it's steep, but it's your business.
I'm just thinking the average gig worker. I mean, some will, some won't. Let's put it that. It depends on where you're at financially. If you can.
That's a good point. They should offer it. They should offer it to full-time people like us, because I'd do it in a second.
Yeah, I mean,
just because that's one protection. You were deactivated because of background check. No, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't. And it's done automatically. I mean, like, yeah. You know, like you would onboard faster because the company doesn't have to pay for your $23 checker check.
It'd be nice if it offered other protections too, not just background check, but like you know, other verifications, so that they can't screw you in other ways too. I mean, I don't know what that would be, but
I don't either. I just know there's some simple solutions out there. But Tom's gonna.
We're out of time, bro.
We're not out of time. We can run a few over. Tom's got this.
That's up to Kim.
Go for it, Tom.
Okay, thanks.
I got you back.
Yeah, because we gotta do this.
All right. So a couple of months ago, we went through the unusual leftover items in Uber cars in America, but I think Australia might have us beat. So a couple of days ago, Uber Australia listed their unusual leftover items. And number one, well, I was going to have the background noise for.
Shouldn't you go backwards? Don't start at one.
I'm not going to. Okay. So, number 10, a set of bagpipes.
Okay.
I don't know how you can forget bagpipes, but he forgot his bagpipes. Number 9, the right shoe of a pair of Christian Lobinatis. I assume that those are really
Louis
expensive. Louis Vuitton. Yeah, just the right shoe.
That's just a drug.
I say that sounds.
Yeah. How do you? I'm sorry. How do you?
Then you lost like 400 to your $800 pairs of shoes.
Australians can drink.
A crystal tiara.
Oh.
A Batman cape, full size.
Batman wasn't so Batman.
I'm just waiting for the kangaroo, man. Come on.
A set of dentures.
Ew.
A dingo.
Yoda lightsaber replica. A 1 carat diamond.
Hello.
Wow.
Oh,
So
no.
these obviously these are people turning them in.
Number 3, a sleep apnea machine.
Somebody wasn't sleeping that night.
Maybe he just got the thing that day.
Number
That weird thing where you're just like beep, and it's like I can sleep now. I've seen those commercials. I'm like,
Number 2, which I'm not sure how he got this in the cab or into the Uber, but a small sword.
Okay.
And the number 1 thing left behind. Hello, can you see me now? A glass eye.
Ew. Ew.
Oh, that's disgusting.
What was the weirdest thing that and it might not have even been number 1 that we thought of the American ones? It was like a mannequin or something.
Yeah, leaving the dentures behind, I thought was pretty weird. That doesn't even make the top 5 in Australia. It's dentures.
I always wonder about these too. Like you hear, like we heard the diamond. So clearly the person that found the diamond gave it back because they wouldn't know about it. So maybe there were even bigger
They're
lost
lucky.
items
A lot of people would be like, "What
that
diamond?"
weren't
I don't
returned.
understand.
Like maybe there was a 50-carat diamond, boom, the size of a mansion, and somebody's like, "I ain't returning this." So that would have been the weirdest thing, but they don't return it.
Right.
No, it would be like, "What diamond? I've never seen a diamond. What are you talking about?"
For my car, the weirdest thing left behind was a surgeon's scrubs. And he was a rather big guy, and he was getting ready to go into surgery, realized he left his scrubs in my car, which the weird thing was I had picked up 2 other people in the meantime before I get the message from Uber that his scrubs were still in the car. And he's getting ready to go in surgery, and he needs his scrubs. So I had to race back down to the hospital in the med center of Houston, which is there's bunches and bunches of hospitals, and met the guy outside and gave him the scrubs.
Well, isn't it? I have a stupid question though, and maybe I don't know hospital protocol. Don't they have scrubs in the hospital that he could have used?
Apparently, because of his size, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of people have their own. They buy their own outside of work.
Yeah, and these were nice scrubs. I mean, they were, yeah. But you don't want your surgeon either naked or uncomfortable. So
Nah.
I'm going to tell you the oddest thing I ever found, and then next week I have a story that I told it many years ago on the audio pod. I don't believe I've ever told it on YouTube, but I called the story 4 foot nothing. And I'm going to tell you guys this brutal story that happened to me. But tonight I do have the weirdest thing ever left in mind was on a Halloween night, 2017. I was taking a single woman or just single passenger in a cat costume from a Halloween party back to her house. I had to wake her up a couple times. She was in the back seat, and I was like, hey, I'd flip the lights on or whatever. She was kind of passing out a little bit. Right as we were about a half mile from her house, she had these black leggings on, and she took them off and threw them at the windshield, and it made a splat mark. It was wet. And I just finished driving. I didn't say a damn word, and it pulled up, and she's like, thank you. And she gets out. She got out, and guys, it was just her. And I was checking this 2017, still pretty decent money. And I was checking between every ride to clean my car. There were 3 used condoms in the back.
Oh my God. Wait, was there 2 people in the back seat? What?
And when I say used, I know what a used condom is. They were all used.
I'm confused.
Yes, so was I.
The math ain't mathin'. What?
So was I. I was very confused. I mean, I gave her a 5 star. She tipped me. This was the good year. She tipped me like a $50 cash tip as she hiccuped and left the car. So I gave her a 5-star review.
But how? So there's so many questions there.
Yeah,
so many.
And that's what we'll leave you guys with. Figure that one out.
And on
if anybody
that
can tell me what that was, because it would have been weird enough with 1, but why were there 3?
And then her leggings. Why did she take off her leggings and
They
put them
were
on the
they were
windshield?
like
And they were wet.
so they weren't, I don't know if I'm calling them the right thing. They weren't like pantyhose, like thin. They were like sweater
Yeah.
thickness. So they were thick, and it was part of her cat costume.
It'd be leggings, yeah.
And
Leggings.
it was wet all in the crotchular region. But she balled it up and chucked it at the windshield.
God,
That's just disgusting.
that's
All I can
amazing.
say- all I can say is, come on, Steve.
I'm not.
Kim, this is why we don't do rideshare.
And thank God for us not doing rideshare.
That's why that's right there. Yep.
And you guys, that was 2017. It's only gone downhill from that. So, you guys, thank you everybody for joining us. Come back next week. 4 Foot Nothing is a story none of you will want to miss. Yes, and it involves me getting punched a couple of times by a woman. So come back. I'll tell you the story, and we'll all have our thing next week. So thank you for joining us. Have a great Thursday. Have a great week, and we will see you next week right here. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Everyone.
Okay.